This one came by UPS and the other one came by FedEx. So this should be part of phase 2 and everything that I'm getting this week and next week. So everybody knows what this is. When I actually did my wheels and tires, I did not buy a calibrator yet. So I think the issue was I wasn't sure what I wanted and didn't know if I wanted the Traildash or not. It was more expensive, and this really is all I needed it for. And so I am just going to go with the Flashcal because I need to recalibrate for my tire size. And eventually, when I regear, I will have to do that as well. But yeah, that's what this is, and I'll be doing that later on today. So yeah, here it is. Put it next to an iPhone 7. It's actually smaller, a little bit smaller in width, about the same height actually as an iPhone 7, and of course it's just a little bit thicker, not near as heavy, but yeah, that's all I needed. Didn't need anything really fancy when it came to calibration. So be interested to check out all the different calibration options that you have. We'll run through this up here a little bit. Okay, it's late in the evening, but I'm gonna try and see how this works. See what the Flashcal says. Turn on ignition.
Braves tonight, 3 runs over 6 innings. Matt Harvey gave up 6 runs.
Loading application for your vehicle. Okay, tire size. Oh, I probably didn't want to do that. I hit. Okay, it's plugged into my OBD 2 port. I am going to turn the car on. It's kind of a strange thing. Alright, let's go back to tire size. I'm going to go up. I think on weight it's 36 and a half. So that should set my tire size. Ignition off. It says press OK. When that's done, this is what takes the longest. I know it's not very fun to watch, but it was necessary for me to buy this calibrator. In the future, I will be actually regearing lower, probably to 513 gears. It's got stock 410s in it now, running on 37s, so I will be needing this calibrator to put the gear ratio in there when I actually get it regeared. But for now, I do need to get at least the shift points correct, so it's shifting correctly and it's not a drain on my transmission. So I've been running with it uncalibrated for about almost 5 months, so it's not good, but I guess this is what it does every time you turn it on, is clearing the GTCs. Just want to go back in real quick and make sure it's set for the correct tires, and just check out some of the other functions really fast. Okay, it's set to 36.5, which I think is probably right. So the axle lock, you can actually change that. I'm not going to do that now. So engine idle, which would, you'd kick the idle up if you want to do something like winch. Gear ratio, which I'll change later. Traction control, low ratio. Lamp delay, running lights, ACC delay, lane change, horn sharp, tire pressure, TPMS. This is interesting. You can actually turn it off, or you can set the tire pressure. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Tire pressure, low sensor, sets the TPS warning lamp. Do not drive with over or under inflated tires, of course. So we want that to probably not actually, oh, it's interesting, it won't go any lower than 22. Okay then. Fog lights, no. Alright, I think I got everything pretty much spent. Yep, tire size is right. Everything else should be good. So, it'll be interesting actually to see how my mileage changes, because I was getting a total mileage was off. It was lower than it was stock on the 32-inch tires. So basically, it takes me 32 miles to get to the airport, and it was showing when I got to the airport that I was at 25 miles. So that's quite a bit. Actually, it's what, 7 miles lower than it needs to be. So hopefully everything is correct now. I actually will pull out a tape measure tomorrow and see if my tire height is actually 36.5, because I think that's where it's at. So other than that, hopefully it starts shifting better. And next thing I'll have to do is, of course, get the regear. But it'd be interesting to at least, when I take it off-road, to be able to play with that axle lock option, in case, you know, I don't know why anybody would want to lock their differentials in 4-high, but at least that option is available. So, yeah, I like this option better than the Traildash, just because I wouldn't want to have that particular information all the time displayed. I just don't know that it would be very useful to me, and it was quite a bit more money. So that's what we'll do for now, and when we get a chance, we will at least give you results of how everything was after the calibration. Alright, take care. Okay, so I actually measured my tires, and they're closer to 35.5. on weight on the Jeep, so it's squatting quite a bit on 37s. So the diameter is about 35.5, so I am going to change that. Also check, make sure my gear ratio is right as well. So let's go 35.5. Which I guess makes sense, because 35-inch tires will definitely be a lot less. One thing I hate about, well, not hate, but find annoying about it is it wants me to turn off the engine every time, and then I have to wait for the Flashcal to reset. And then I'll go back in and check my gear ratio. Should have done that before I changed my tire size. It was running better, but the RPMs were running way lower in idle, about 600 on idle, and lower at top speeds, so it was around 2100 at 60, 75. So hopefully this will finally make the right correction. But I think a lot of people just look at the size of the tire and put that in there as far as the actual size for the calibrator. So that's not always correct, obviously. Let's go back in and check my gear ratio real quick, make sure it is set on 410s. I assumed it would be, but maybe it reset when I put the Flashcal on there. So I want to make sure it's on the right gear ratio. I don't think it would work very well at all if it wasn't actually correctly on the right gear ratio. Nice rainy day. Let's see here, gear ratio. Truthfully, I don't think this does anything until you actually go in and set it to a function. So for gear ratio, if I didn't have the gear ratio set at 410s, it wouldn't actually change the gear ratio to something lower or higher, rather. I think it would just leave it as what it is. But I just wanted to make sure the Flashcal has the correct settings in there. Ended up being 35.5, so I did that correction. And since I've actually reset my average miles per gallon, it was sitting at about 13.2, 13.6, and it's already better calibrated. It's about 15.2, which is what I expected. I was off by about 2 miles per gallon, so not that I'm getting any better gas mileage by any means, because it wasn't a tune. It just basically set the tire size to the correct measurement, so that I'm getting correct speedometer reading, and it's getting a correct reading for the tire size. The RPMs are running a lot lower now that I've recalibrated for the tire size, which is really what I wanted. At this point, when I do regear, it will be to 513s. But so the reason I waited for so long, because I didn't think it was a big deal to recalibrate. I didn't really care that my speedometer was off or that it wasn't shifting correctly. But I was told from somebody on one of my videos that I needed to do that pretty quickly, otherwise it was actually going to make a difference in my transmission, be a further drain on my transmission if I didn't recalibrate. So I did that, and about quality, but RPMs are definitely much lower. We're in about 1600 RPMs versus before we were probably shooting around 1900. And of course I won't see any better fuel economy, but I'll see better numbers. Before, with it not calibrated, I was getting 50 miles per tank. So I imagine it'll, now that it's recalibrated, it'll probably be somewhere around 275, 280. So somewhat near normal. So definitely like to see the numbers better. 15 miles per gallon is a lot better than 13. But like I said, it's not anything better than before. It's just reading more accurately, so it makes me feel better anyways. I do notice quite a big difference because it's still running 1900 RPMs at 60 miles an hour, which is a lot better than before. So pretty happy with it.